You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the I Love It When podcast. My name is Margaret Smith. I go by Mo. I'm your host. And today I am thrilled to introduce you all to Cat Almanzor Hancock. I met Cat at Kindred Healing Space right here in Everett, Washington. Over the last couple years, if you've been listening to my podcast, you may have heard me talk a bit more about Isis, goddess Isis, and Thoth, who actually have one of my clients got me this amazing statue of Thoth. So Thoth is the Egyptian god of writing, amongst other things, and it's been part of my journey as I've been learning more about what I feel led to intuitively, and the energy of Isis has been one of those things. And so I was looking on Kindred's website at the different classes and courses. They offer so many different things. It's fantastic. If you're ever in the area, I highly recommend checking it out. There's a variety of modalities. You can go to a breathwork class, and at the same time, you could go see Samantha Westerwell, who I've talked about, who's the Ayurvedic yoga therapist. Like, there's just so many things there that Donna Wojcik offers. It's fantastic. And so I happened upon Kat's class, and I had never seen anybody that was near my area here in Everett, Washington, offer something around Isis Ka. The Isis Ka frequency is something I learned about from another teacher whose name is Athena, who I found on Insight Timer. So anyhow, this all led me to Kat's class and activation, and it was lovely. She shared a little bit of her story there in class, and so I knew, hey, like I should have Kat on my website, or sorry, not on my website, on my podcast. And so I forgot to like write it down when I got home, and life went on for a couple months. And then I was like, oh, wait, I gotta have Kat on. So I reached back out to her and she agreed to come on and share her story. And I'm so grateful. So that's how I ran into Kat. And I've just been keeping track of what she offers at Kindred. And if you're ever again in the area, I highly recommend checking out one of her classes. Okay, so I'm having Kat because she's got an incredible story. And I think when you listen to it, the takeaways that you'll get from this episode, there are multiple. How she talks about her intuition, how it came to her, her experience that kind of led her to become a healer. All of it is incredible. So before I get too far ahead of myself here, I'm going to read you her bio, the 411 on Cat. So Cat Almanzor Hancock is a Filipina Remembrance Midwife, breath oracle, and stillness amplifier. She is the creator of Pag-Alala, Pag-Alala, hopefully I say that correctly, which is Tagalog for to remember, and the founder of Ka-Activated Breathwork. Through breathwork, sound, coaching, and energy work, she guides people back to their inner magic and the remembering of their divinity. Her work moves in the rhythm of RARE, RARE, release, awaken, remember, and embody, supporting nervous system regulation, deep remembering, and embodied transformation. So in this episode, we talk about what Kat was doing prior to becoming a healer, her experience being in a 3-month-long wakeful coma, which, by the way, I have never heard of this before. It was crazy to learn about her experience with this, how she was then led to work with the goddess Isis, and then her experiences with her intuition and the way she works with clients. So I cannot wait for you to hear this episode. Enjoy. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I am so excited to introduce you all to Kat today. Kat, thank you so much for being with us, spending some time with us. Why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes, thank you, Margaret. I'm so glad to be here today. My name is Cat Almanzor Hancock. I am a remembrance midwife, breath oracle, and stillness amplifier. Also founder of Ka-Activated Breathwork.
Love it. I have to say, like, as soon as I read your bio, I was immediately drawn to how you called yourself a stillness amplifier. Where did that come from?
That is based on feedback. So, I don't like titles
Hmm.
really. So,
Hmm.
it's really hard to put a title because we have been so many things.
Yes.
Mm. But that is based on feedback that I receive from clients is
Okay.
really having them in that stillness when they go on a journey with me. So always bringing back to presence and
Mhm.
stillness is one of the things that I try to invoke in people.
That's beautiful. As soon as I read that, I definitely resonated with that immediately. And having been in even just, I think I've only been to one of your sessions at the local yoga studio, Kindred, and I felt that absolutely. Okay. I also feel like I want to just actually ask you to, can you share a little bit about what a remembrance midwife is?
Yes. So my business is actually called Pag-Alala, which means to remember in Tagalog, so my Filipino dialect. So remembrance. Well, I know we're gonna get into it. So that came about because I had to remember everything
Mhm.
during a period in my life. So, and all of that slowly just returned. And I think, majority of us currently right now in this threshold are remembering the things that, I either past lives or basically our mission.
Mhm.
So during this time where I was on a pause, um, I had to remember what's my real purpose. And so that's what I'm moving forward and bringing into the people as well, is for them to remember their divinity, their power.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I called myself a remembrance midwife, just
I love
ushering
that.
and guiding others.
Yeah. I love how you said to, and I just want to call it out that you shared about how titles are just not really necessary, but we are always looking for a way to describe ourselves, especially as business owners, I think. But even just as humans, constantly putting ourselves with titles and a way to kind of translate what we do.
Yeah.
How long have you had your business for now?
So it's going on second year, started on summer solstice.
Okay.
It officially, the year prior to that, practicing on friends and family, and
Mhm.
then eventually it's like I need to make this you know legit and
Hmm.
true.
Hmm. Amazing. And what did you do before?
So corporate, actually I'm still in the corporate world.
Okay.
Um, so recruiting and that's kind of, you talk about titles where that is kind of in the forefront of that world. I was in
Yeah.
healthcare recruiting, and now I'm in a different space. So, with healthcare recruiting, there's the doctors, right, with the MD and then the RN. So there's all the
Hmm.
titles. But yeah, I was still am in the recruiting space currently, which I feel that there is a reason why I'm in this space, and that
Yeah,
has been slowly shown to me because acting more of as a bridge in that space currently.
that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So how did you discover this work that you're now doing? How did you discover it and decide to become a healer?
Wow. Okay. So this trans this happened in 2016. I was in a wakeful coma. Um, and you know, I would say that things have already transpired prior to that, but of course we don't know that, until now in hindsight, right? Um, so do you want me to go ahead and start sharing about, the coma?
Yes, please.
So, okay. Um, so in 2016, I was going through, a back-to-back traumatic experience. I would say that this path was not traditional at all. It was really born through that experience with the major life health crisis. And then that's where I understood that healing, consciousness, and purpose, all of that, what came out of that experience was just not recovery, but a complete different relationship with life and the work that, I felt called to do. Again, looking back at my childhood, I was already preparing for this. So my grandma raised me, who
Mm.
had such deep, profound devotion to God, to Source, and now she still continues to be my guide. She also passed away in 2016, 3 months before the coma
Oh,
happened.
wow.
Um, so honestly, it's not like a career decision. This is more like a calling that revealed itself over time. I could see that I always was sensitive to people, to energy, to what was happening beneath the surface. But at that time, I didn't necessarily have the language for it.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of it, I would say, a lot of this path shaped me through, my own healing journey. Life brought me through experiences that cracked me open.
Hmm.
And through it, I began to understand that healing is not just something physical,
Mm.
but something that's emotional, spiritual, and deeply transformative. Um, what I went through taught me that sometimes the things that break us open are also the things that reveal our true purpose.
Mm.
So becoming a healer wasn't really about deciding that, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. It
Hmm.
was more of a remembering that what I was here to do and allowing that to become the way to serve others. Yeah. So what transpired during that time in that 3-month coma really showed me the reality of who I am. But of course, it took time. It wasn't instant.
Hmm. Hmm. Can you describe what a wakeful coma is? What does that mean?
So, um, basically, I am awake, but I'm not there. So
Okay.
these are things that my family members have shared with me. And I have two beautiful children and also now a stepson. They were very little at that time, and shared with me what was happening. My parents was there as well. Um, Basically they would visit me, and this is trying to make this more in a humor, trying to add humor to this.
Hmm.
My cousin said, there was a taco in front of me, and she knows me so well that I would eat that with sour cream. And she said, I aren't you gonna get sour cream? And basically I wasn't interacting the same, so the things that were coming out my mouth didn't make sense as well.
Oh, wow. So you were actually able to sit up and eat and do things like that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, but um it got to a point where I couldn't eat, so they had to intubate me.
Okay.
So that's I think that happened more on the very last month, where they told my family to prepare because I was basically deteriorating. But yeah, I
Wow.
did have family come and visit me, but it was not me.
Wild. So what do you remember during that time? I had the question had written down
Yes.
was, did you have any dreams or visions or like,
Oh
did you
gosh.
come in and out of it? And did it feel like a blink?
So what I remember is all the dreams. That's what I called it, and then traveling as well. So during that time, I had met my now husband. So I've
Okay.
only known him about 3 months when I fell into that coma, but
Wow.
he stayed. And so yeah, here we go. I'll share. One of the most profound things that I experienced, there were several, which I plan to write a book about all the dreams.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be fascinating.
so vivid. And it's what I come to know now, either my past lives or happening at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Experience that I can't really put into words. It felt more like being in another realm of consciousness, very
Mm-hmm.
vivid, symbolic, and alive, deeply alive. So, one particular dream that I feel like it's also one of my missions here is I became the leaf on a tree.
Wow.
And, people were all around me just passing by, and I was screaming like, "Hey, I'm here, look at me." I was literally screaming. And what struck me from that feeling is that feeling of being unseen,
Mm-hmm.
which, us human feel that same as well
Mm-hmm.
from time to time, right? Um, it spoke to me to that deep human longing to be witnessed, to be acknowledged, and to know that our presence matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that itself completely changed me. So I came back with that understanding of life, of spirit, and why I was still here and why I came back. So now I have a relationship with all the trees in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
We are all one, and they want to communicate with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I that itself. So I feel like coming back like as a spokesperson for, right,
Yeah.
to give that message that they do want to communicate with us.
Mm-hmm. What a beautiful story. My goodness. To feel like you're a leaf on the tree looking for people to look at you. I can
Yeah,
totally imagine that.
yeah. And there's more where I I don't really like it.
Mm-hmm.
More of on the darker side where I was an assassin, and I'm like, what is this? Yeah, you know, I mean, she was badass, but at the same time, like, this is dark.
Yeah. How many do you think you remember?
Um, Probably at least 10.
Okay.
That yeah, yeah.
Okay. Is there one other one that you could share?
Um, there was one, and my husband wouldn't mind this.
Okay.
So again, I would say about 3 months dating at that time. So, I didn't there was a connection already, and knowing what we know now that, we had past lives together
Okay.
makes sense. So there was one where he was a robot. Um, I know, I know this
I
is gonna
believe it. I believe it.
so I knew it was him, but he was a robot.
Yeah.
And it seemed like an assembly line of robots. I know that sounds bizarre, but then it was his time to kind of leave that
Mm-hmm.
group, and I was there. And then we were in this really, what I call like a tiny home, but it was opened, it was surrounded by glass. So you could see
Oh,
outside, but it was dark. It was like galaxy.
okay.
But we were also surrounded by plants. Like the whole tiny house had plants.
Wow.
Um, but then you look outside, it's dark and all stars.
Wow.
He was a robot, so I told him that. Yeah.
My goodness. I find dreams are just fascinating. So to think about being in a wakeful coma for 3 months, I can only imagine. How did it feel when you woke up?
Oh my gosh. That itself as well. So,
It had to have been shocking. And
um, yeah. because the first thing I looked at was the board where there's the date, right? And I'm like, what? I skipped summer? Like, and it's now November?
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, I it was shocking. The first thing I said was, "Where's my kids?" Um,
Yeah.
and I think they were trick or treating because it was Halloween at that time, or
Mm.
it was around Halloween. Again, that around those days, very
Hmm.
interesting. I woke up around that time.
Yeah.
Um, so what I can remember, I think there was a family member there. And I think everyone was told, which, I kind of could guess, kind of not to overwhelm me, and to slowly share things with me, which for some reason I knew that. But I had to go through, physical, speech and occupational therapy. Not everything came back all
Yeah.
at once. So I had to look at pictures, but it's not like my memory was wiped. It took some time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What an incredibly insane experience to live through. And I totally agree with you about writing the book. Please do. I will read it. And I know many people that would. Uh, that's just amazing. And that you've since then, that was 2016.
correct.
So about 10 years ago. And look at where you are now and what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, so can you share about your journey from that point where you started to wake up and had to go through this physical therapy to then when you started to, you said you've had your business for 2 years, but you've probably been practicing more than that. How did you decide kind of what modalities to go towards? Um, how you were drawn to different things?
Sure. So I want to say during the pandemic, which I think a lot of people woke up as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna back up
Okay.
for a minute. So, after waking up at that time, um, I would say that that first 2 years, I was in the mode of, oh my gosh, I might die again. I want to do everything
Oh yeah.
I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I don't regret it, but there was several things that I had been wanting to travel, um, and I ended up leaving actually my corporate job at that time and took a year off and basically did all the things I wanted to do and experience. Um, but I didn't know the full extent to, it was more of fear base
Mhm.
because, I'm like, what if this happened again? Because I have no official diagnosis and
Yeah.
day, even though, I have been clear. So I would say the 2 years after that, it was kind of rebellious. I just did all the things I've always wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, and then I would say by 2020, can't I want to there was a moment. So when I met my now husband Justin, he was really open to everything. So I grew up Christian and I had that foundation. Um, and when we met, I told him, I'm Christian, and I'm told, you're not supposed to be with someone who have different faith or not at
Hmm.
all. And he was really open, which was interesting to me because I've never met anyone. It's like I believed in nature. I believe in everything
Hmm.
that exists, and didn't really judge me or force me to look at his lens because growing up, really since I was 5, growing up in that Christian faith, and then even after coming here in the United States at 13, started going to church as well, in a Christian faith. Um, But, he would share little things here and now where, I question it. But my mind started to open. Also having experienced what I experienced, I'm like, I
Hmm.
went into this journey of, ayahuasca, past life regression,
Hmm.
readings, because I'm like, where did I go? Why did that happen?
Yeah.
And why? Like, why,
Yeah.
why? So, doing that, and it took one video where we're sitting on the couch, and I don't know what happened. During that time, you're just watching because everyone was inside, and there was this clip of star seeds. I've never heard of that word before. And I think, he knew a little bit of it, but it just, I was drawn to it. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And um since that video, it was probably like 3 months of deep dive to where he was actually worried about me. He would come home and I have notes and posters. Like, I was so drawn to what that meant. And
Yeah.
um, that's where it started. And I had my first Akashic record reading. That's where Goddess Isis, Mother Osset came through. Didn't know who, like, had no idea who she was.
Yeah.
She was the first guide that came through, and still started Googling her. Who is this person? Or this? Yeah, I had no idea.
And
And
this was a reading that you had with somebody else?
yes,
Okay.
that's,
Wow.
that's how it started.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And then, of course, I became a Goddess Isis priestess, went onto that journey. Then modalities after modalities, which kind of was known that that was going to be my path, but it was just incorporating everything. Um, yeah, I followed the breadcrumbs,
Hmm.
and here we
That's the
are.
best way to put it. Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that about Isis because that was how I stumbled upon you was that the Isis class that you had at Kindred. And I was wondering what had led you to her. So she showed up when you did an Akashic Records reading.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that energy like? Do you feel like you felt her energy when you were there?
So I already actually felt her energy before, and I didn't even
Okay.
know it. So
Okay.
there was this motherly figure that's really warm. Like, I almost felt like I was being hugged. And that was a really, weird feeling to me in the beginning, because I'm like, why am I feeling this? To a point where I tears start coming down from my eye. It was more like, you are so love kind of
Hmm.
feeling that
Hmm.
I don't know how to describe it. It was a motherly love,
Hmm.
that it's a different kind of feeling to, you are held. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. And that would come through to you like when you meditate or just when you would pause to feel it?
When I would pause to feel it.
Amazing.
It first came through. So again, I had, so many readings after my
Yeah.
incident, because I was trying to find answer. There was a motherly figure that came through as well. She didn't, at that time, this was not an Akashic, it was more a past life reading. She wasn't quite sure who it was, this motherly figure that was there. And now I know, because I thought
Yeah.
he was my past mom. But yeah, it's just that same feeling.
Okay. And how did you decide to become an Isis priestess?
Um, so Mother's Day, it was Mother's Day 2022. Yeah, it just happened to be Mother's Day. I was laying down, beautiful day, the grass, meditating, and I closed my eyes, and I opened my eyes, and in my mind's eye, really little, almost looked like a fairy, because and there's Mother Osset, Goddess Isis, And be careful for what you ask for because I said, I want like an actual um image or like
Sure.
yeah. So I said if this is the path I'm going to take, because I was still trying to figure out, if I'm going to go to this initiation path, like show yourself to me if this is what I need to do. And it was the first time of me seeing the unseen, and I was not scared. So I was like, wow. And I was just captivated by her presence.
Hmm.
And it was short, but it was like, yes, I'm here. It I exist.
Hmm.
And so I said, okay, there it is. There's my
Amazing.
answer.
Hello, I
That's
love
it.
it when listeners. I want to take a moment to share with you something that I've added to my daily routine that is changing my life. It's about the size of a band-aid and it's called LifeWave. If you struggle with stress, pain, or sleep, these might be something you want to try. LifeWave patches are non-medicated and made of organic materials. Therefore, no substances like chemicals or drugs enter the body. And using your own body heat and light, the patch reflects your own light back into your body and can improve skin appearance and confidence, enhance sports performance, improve mental clarity, help you to relax, improve your sleep, better manage stress, support a healthy cardiovascular system, and more. I'm personally using them right now to heal the varicose veins in my legs, which have gotten progressively worse in the last 10 years. You wear them for 12 hours on, 12 hours off. I put one on when I get up in the morning and then I take it off right before I go to bed. I highly recommend checking out the Eon and the X39 patch to begin with. The X39 patch is the world's first and only patented technology that uses a phototherapy system to improve strength and stamina without drugs or stimulants. The other thing I really appreciate about LifeWave is that they've made it very accessible. You can get started for as low as $100 a month and see the impact on your health. LifeWave has been around since 2004 and has over 200 patents as of March 2025. If you're curious about how this technology could help you, check out the link in my show notes or on my website and reach out with any questions. I have also officially started a team, so if you're interested in selling these patches as a part of my team, I'd love to connect with you about it. So that was the first time you said you'd seen the unseen.
Yes.
And
Well,
so you said it was like in your mind's eye, and because I'm so curious and this is how I am, I just ask all these questions. When you close your eyes, do you get an image behind your eyelids or do you just see it kind of like in, I would say, like your imagination?
um, this one, when she appeared, she was right in front, almost like in the middle, if
Okay.
that makes sense. Like right in the middle of, she's right in the middle of my two eyes.
Yeah, yeah. But when you close your eyes, you could felt like you could actually see her.
Yes, but she's
Wow.
little like a fairy.
Yeah, yeah. How beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. I was so drawn when you did that class. It was so funny because how Isis has come to me and I've shared with people on the podcast like slowly as I've felt called to because it's such, it's so outside the box of anything I ever expected to be drawn to. But it was actually because of Thoth, who's the Egyptian god of writing. He
Mm,
came to me in a meditation, and then slowly I just started seeing more about Isis. And when I was looking up at Kindred's classes, I was so surprised to see something about Isis. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, what? uh, it was really cool. It was definitely the more I learn about it, the more I learn about. I think it was a my friend Crystal Novak, who's a psychic medium, and when I got the Isis cards, the Isis Oracle deck, I pulled some cards for her, and she also felt extremely drawn to Isis, and she feels very drawn to Christ consciousness energy, and she says that same energy is what resonates for her with Isis, is that mother, but definitely Christ consciousness, kind of deep compassion, and that's
mm,
when I started to recognize, like, oh, this energy has shown up in a variety of ways, and all of these people over the
yeah.
entire history of the planet that
Mm,
we're on. And so when you start to think of it like that, it starts to make sense how different energies will show up in different ways to show us kind
yeah.
of what we're drawn to. That's amazing. What was that experience like becoming a priestess?
Um, wow. It was like death and rebirth every other week. It was really confronting all the things that I was still carrying, doubts, certain beliefs,
Mm,
really trusting myself, um, and letting go of the things that are holding me back to it's yeah, that death and rebirth. There's it was, I want to say, in such a short amount of time, really amplified my deeper knowing, my intuition, but at the same time, it also, a lot of things ended.
mm,
Whether that's, relationships, friendships, because it had to.
mm,
It, and that part is, there's grief in that. So I had to go through that as well.
mm,
But that there's certain things that, it only serves us for that season, serves that
mm.
other person as well, and whatever the situation is. Um, so I had to go through that, which was tough.
Yeah. Did you become a priestess through Athena?
Yes.
Okay, okay. For those of you that are listening, I stumbled across Athena, is it Kroll, her last name?
Oh, now, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, on Instagram, and I was immediately drawn to her as well because she's all about Isis and shares a lot about it. And so, um, yeah, I just love your bravery and everything that you've done and followed, like you said, following the breadcrumbs from thing to thing. It really takes a lot of bravery to do that because, again, it's not the norm, although it's becoming more of the norm,
Mhm.
that, as you said, people are waking up to. Um, what do you notice? I don't even have this question on my outline, but I just want to ask you this now.
Yeah.
What do you notice when you're working with the energy of Isis with people?
Um, it's different for everyone, right? Depending where they're at on their journey. It is confronting.
Hmm, hmm.
For those who, I went through it. For those who are not ready to let go of certain things that are, stuck
Yeah.
in their own ways. So at the same time, too, there's that profound transformation. Um, the first time, I'll be transparent with you, the first time that I work one-on-one with a person, I was questioning myself because it was like they'll make a shift, then they revert back, and then they go, it was like, up and down, it's that contraction.
Hmm.
And so I started questioning myself. I'm like, "A- am I doing this right?" And then I had to snap myself back to, I am just a vessel. And, I am being guided through um, Mother Osset, Goddess Isis, as well as that person's higher self. So um, it is really trusting the process. But I have seen such a profound transformation in people when they do trust the process and just, I mean,
Yeah.
surrender to it. The main thing that throughout this journey is, and word has been used so many times from now, it's embody.
Hmm.
But in reality, that's what it is. Um, you could do all the releasing, the breath work, or all the plant medicine, like all these other things, but you have to get to that next step.
Yeah.
It is just surface level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that you bring that up. That came up for me too recently at the retreat that I just hosted, where we were talking about the energy of going through, like you said, releases or breath work, and, or for instance, I think we were talking about shielding, like putting up a shield every day. But if you don't back up that shield with actions and words, if somebody wants to go through that boundary, then the boundary, is not, you have to reinforce it with your actual physical action. And that's where it can be so difficult, I know, for people to shift, but it's once you do it, it's just, That's the feeling that I always tell people to look for is look for the feeling that you'll get after you do the action because it's a thrill and it feels so good. You feel so much more peace. But it's definitely, I know it can be really difficult to get to that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel like is one of your favorite ways to work with people? Like when people have sessions with you, what does
Mm.
that look like?
So, um, I added sound healing to one of my services now, and now Ka-Activated Breathwork will actually be debuted this Saturday at Kindred.
Cool.
Share more about that. Um, I would say I don't really have like a favorite because it's all dependent on what that person need.
Hmm.
Each one, obviously the person will have a specific, whether it's breath work or an activation that they're wanting to do. But I am no longer afraid to share, well, I I'm really getting this pull before our
Hmm.
session that you actually might need this. What are your thoughts? So
Hmm.
as of before, I didn't do that where I do combine them as
Yeah.
or the next session I shift to something totally different because that person needs that piece before moving to the other piece.
Hmm.
It's my work has become really intuitive depending on the
Hmm.
person, so it is really customized to what they're needing. It's not no, it's not one size fits all. And that's
Yeah.
healing, right?
Yeah.
Myself as well. I It's a continuous process for me. Yes, I have learned, different ways because you have experienced that, and if something happens again that similar to that, you know how to navigate it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much my process of how I work with people in the different modalities. It's basically my favorite one is what serves the person the most
Hmm.
in front of you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. Makes total sense. When people come to you, are they coming to you more for a reading or do people come to you because they're looking for healing of some sort?
Um, See the themes that I get, which is really fascinating, and then there's, not to kind of segment people, but I do get a lot of people in the medical field.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and and I don't know if that has to do with my experience being in that wakeful coma, or the transformational things. I went through a divorce, and then being a mom,
Hmm.
navigating career changes, pivoting, how to, step into the unknown. So
Yeah.
it's things that I've experienced already, and I think that's what's drawing people in. And what I truly believe this, that um, the people that we're meant to serve, my higher self and their higher self are already
Connecting.
collaborating,
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that more and more with the people that I'm meeting in just this past 3 weeks.
Hmm.
They're like, you keep popping up in my mind for some reason to talk to you. I'm like, yes. So,
I love that. Can you talk a little bit about you just had mentioned the Ka breath work.
yes. So
Yeah.
here's another synchronicity, or I guess following the breadcrumbs. So, obviously I'm hypno breathwork certified. And then the Ka activation comes from goddess Isis. So
Hmm.
back in fall, I was in a meditation, and the thought of creating my own came to mind. And then I had a dream about it as well. And then
Hmm.
there's a strong call, and so I'm like, I'm leaning into this. This was September. Um, and so I'm like, what is this going to be? And I didn't know the pieces. This is, yeah, I was actually questioning myself because I filed for a trademark for it. Um, I looked and it didn't exist. So I filed a trademark last year, not knowing how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And the timing of it is just insane how it's going to be the week before, spring equinox. But basically what it is breath work and activation combined because it's more it's accelerated now. Yes, there's again different modalities for different people, but this time it is needed. So what it is, it's releasing and activation together rather than
Okay.
um,
Okay.
so the breath patterns, there are three breath patterns that I don't share because they're dependent on what we're working on.
Hmm.
Um, and then the hypno breathwork journey is still in there um, for the release part, but you are getting activated. So the Ka, now as I'm working on the eighth chakra of the person and activating them. So it's not a specific area where I did in the other Ka activation. This is activating to what is needed in that person at that time.
Okay.
So
Fascinating. How cool.
yes, and that was last fall, and now I'm like, it makes sense. This is the right time. I
Hmm.
will be, 6 months prior.
Yeah, yeah. Another great example of how you just followed the little breadcrumbs before you even knew what it was going to be. That's like one of the most challenging things to do in the beginning, and then the more you do it, the more you learn to trust. Like this is going to mean something at some point.
Yes.
How fascinating. Cool. For those of you that are listening too, I'll share too that I stumbled across Athena actually on Insight Timer first before Instagram, and I did a couple of her meditations with the Isis Ka energy, and for me, I oftentimes don't feel energy physically moving through me, but this was the first time when I did one of her meditations and she brought in the Isis Ka energy frequency, and I actually felt it. And that was what led me to take this class with Kat. And so I can imagine that energy with breath work would be super powerful. That's really cool. Okay. I always love to ask people how they define intuition. And you've shared a little bit about how you experience your intuition. Uh, but could you share kind of how you define it for people listening?
Well, um, so I would say it is really, I feel like my intuition is my higher self.
Hmm.
That's how I would describe it. So it's that inner knowing before your mind catch up, that quiet intelligence. Sometimes it's people say it's that gut feeling. It's yeah, quiet intelligence beneath the fear, beneath the conditioning, and overthinking. It doesn't usually come in loud or in a dramatic way, but to me, it's very subtle sometimes,
Hmm.
but it's clear. It's either a deep yes or no. And yes, sometimes I have ignored it and, and like I should have listened. Um, it's that nudge or recognition.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it speaks true through us in our body. So the more you know your body, your vessel, and yourself, you will know exactly that it's coming
Hmm.
from spirit. It's different than impulse because I've been impulsive before.
Hmm.
And it's also different from anxiety.
Hmm.
I think anxiety tends to be loud and scattered, where intuition feels clearer.
Hmm.
And it even, I would say, when it asks something difficult of us, there's that inner knowing. that steadiness to it that
Hmm.
it's really the inner relationship with truth.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
so that's how I would describe it.
That's perfect. That's beautiful. Also, everybody always says it slightly differently, which I think is really cool because it's always going to reach somebody different who's listening. But what you said very much about know your vessel, know your body, because the more you know your body, the more you'll be able to sense what you feel and get those messages. I think that's such a great way of putting it. Uh, what do you feel like? How do you receive messages the strongest? Is it through clear audience, like clear hearing? Do you hear things, see things, feel things?
Um, so all of it, I can feel all the clairs now. Most recently, it's a conversation, especially with the land spirit.
Mm.
It's a full-on conversation now.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes it is clairaudience was the first one, which
Okay.
I was so confused because, it started with a really deep that that ringing, and
Mm.
it became I started hearing waves. I was like, am I by the ocean? Really loud. And
Wow.
I leaned into that because I know that more will come. But uh, I just when I get different things, whether it's that clear knowing or that feeling, it's beautiful. I just follow what is coming through. But yeah, I
Yeah.
would say actually no, the one that oh yeah, no, food as well, because I was gonna say, yeah, it's all the clairs. Yeah.
I love that. I love how you described how you started to hear things first, because I think people will be able to relate to that. I definitely have heard ringing before, and then to have it turn into something like waves. That's really cool.
Now, sometimes it's I know when my higher self is actually speaking to me. I get it. I get this not like a headache, but like a real pressure right here.
Hmm.
And so I know exactly um when that's
Where it's
happening.
coming from. How cool. I love that. Where is your energy focused more right now in your business and your life? Where are you looking to grow and
Yeah.
do?
So a big piece for me this year is collaboration.
Okay.
And yeah, I started with collaborating with different women specifically, whether, it was a jewelry collaboration last month, where she is bringing on um, using her hands to create this magnificent necklaces. And then what I brought into that was the call frequency. And then each pieces had its own message. I think I still have about 10 pieces left, which, I need to share. And then there's events pretty much every month when I'm
Okay.
collaborating with others. Because yeah, I think that's a big piece is for us to there's no competition.
Hmm.
We together enforce our energy and our power and
Hmm.
amplify that together. It's such a beautiful thing because
Yeah.
us are unique. So yeah, that's my main focus is collaborating. So yeah, you'll see a lot of events with different people
Okay.
either every other month or so.
I love that. That's also a message I've gotten in the last couple of years from different readers is just run towards collaboration, run towards, and each experience brings you, teaches me something new, teaches the other person, but like you said, it just amplifies
Mhm.
everything. Yeah. How can people learn about your next event or like how to work with you?
Sure. So I would say Instagram, majority of
Hmm.
the information is on my website as well, but on Instagram is you'll find my website and then all the events that are happening that month or
Okay.
next
Okay,
month.
cool. And is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should ask you?
Oh, that's a good one. See,
Anything
um,
else you feel led to share that you haven't mentioned yet?
I would say when people ask about what does healing really require
Mm,
us, you know, it's different for everyone, right? Um, because a lot of people will just say, I just want to heal. But healing requires us to be really honest and not just pick parts that you want to heal.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it's again surrendering the courage and the willingness to be part, to let parts of ourselves change. Um, yeah, it's, you know, sometimes we pick and choose, okay, I'm ready for this, but I still want to hold on to this.
Yeah.
And I know it's a journey that's hard. But yeah. And then another piece actually that just came up, and I went through this, is how do we discern between the true spiritual guidance and
Mm,
spiritual bypassing?
hmm
Because not everything that sounds spiritual is actually healing. And discernment is matters so much. Um, yeah, I was confronted. I think last year is when I really learned about what discernment means.
mm,
So that's an important piece, especially there's so many information out there right now. And so
hmm
many people are awakening and really question what you're seeing,
Yeah.
what it feels to you. And sometimes I'll say, well, I really don't know what I'm seeing because I'm new to this. But take the time to feel into it. What information is being shared with you and that person as well. Because sometimes if the person that's sharing is, not fully embodied,
hmm
and whatever is coming through to them is not real, or it's not the truth,
hmm
gonna consume that. So
hmm That is
it
such good advice. Yeah. Same exact experience for myself as well. Discernment has come up again and again over the years. Thinking about, I talk about this quite often about who I choose to bring on the podcast and expose. I understand that by being on this platform I've created, I'm exposing people to other people's energy, other people's leadership, other people's information. So yeah, I couldn't agree more that, and the more that you put yourself out there and learn to trust what you feel, like you said, if you can just pause for a few minutes and see what comes up for you when you think about that person or that teacher or whoever it is you're considering learning from, you will get some nudges. And I know over the years when I've run into people who, not inherently bad people, but there was just something about it that felt off. And if I don't trust that right away, it's okay. I'll find out down the road, like, oh, this is why I got that nudge. This is why this is why I felt that way. And to learn to trust that, um, is it's such a good lesson. It can be a hard lesson to learn. I feel like I've had to learn that repeatedly. But you're
is.
right. Thank you for mentioning that because that's I think, a really tough one. Especially as if people have experienced different things in life where they've been gaslit or they've been lied to, then it can be really hard to discern what is the truth. But again, coming back to what you said earlier was so good about getting to know your vessel, getting to know your body so that you know what feels like truth, what doesn't feel like truth. And then you can kind of act like a scientist and test it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really good reminders. All right. Well, I always like to end each episode with what's your current I love it when, either for yourself or for the world right now.
I would say, I think I shared this earlier already, but in just the past month alone, I love it when there's that, when I meet new people, there's that instant feeling of recognition, like, I know you.
Hmm
Something meaningful happened, is, happened, and now that we met in this lifetime, um, the connection. was supposed to happen. So
Hmm.
I love those moments when it feels unexpectedly aligned and you could feel the magic in that. It's very simple.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared today about your experience and how you got to where you're at. It's fantastic, and I can't wait for people to hear this episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having this platform and thank you for having me.
Totally, totally.